On my 28th birthday, I found out from Facebook that my family threw a surprise party, but it was for my sister. Welcome back with a new real shock story. Before we start, comment and tell me which city you're watching from. At the end, don't forget to subscribe and rate it from 0 to 10. Let's enjoy the story, everyone.
It was my 28th birthday, but I didn't feel much like celebrating. The morning had started quietly, just me sipping coffee by the window, the autumn light soft against my kitchen wall. I scrolled through Facebook, half hoping someone would send a message, half ignoring the day entirely. Birthdays were always a mix of excitement and awkwardness for me. A quiet hope that people cared, mixed with a quiet dread they wouldn't. That morning, I saw pictures. My heart skipped. My own family was in those photos. My sister was smiling wide, balloons around her, laughter frozen in pixels. I clicked the image, and it hit me. This wasn't my celebration. It was hers. The comments beneath glowed with joy and surprise. Best surprise ever. Love you guys. Happy birthday, Emily. Emily. My sister. Not me. I sat back, phone trembling in my hand, the coffee cold beside me. I couldn't understand. I knew something was happening that day. My family had been vague, distracted, almost too busy the last few weeks. But I thought it was for me, my own birthday. How could they throw a party for her and not say a single word to me? Not even a hint. My mind raced. Was this some misunderstanding or something more? I reloaded Facebook, scanning the posts for clues, but the pictures told the whole story. There was a cake, streamers, her friends, everyone smiling. I wasn't invited. I wasn't mentioned. My birthday felt invisible, like it had been quietly erased. I felt a strange mix of shock, sadness, and anger. My own family, people I trusted, had kept this from me. Why? Was I being punished? Did they forget me entirely? The doubt gnawed at me as I stared at the screen. My throat tightened. I wanted answers, but fear stopped me from calling them immediately. I could still feel the image in my mind. Her laughing, surrounded by my family, my birthday fading into a day I would never forget for reasons I wasn't ready to face. That day felt like a wound opening, the kind that leaves you stunned and searching for truth. I had to know what was going on. So I grabbed my jacket and stepped outside. The air was crisp, biting at my cheeks, and the quiet streets reflected my restless thoughts. I needed to see them, to confront them. But as I walked, I kept wondering, what would they say? Would they admit it? Or would they pretend I didn't even matter? I had no idea that what began as a quiet morning scrolling Facebook would turn into something far deeper. Something that would change how I saw my family forever. And I certainly didn't know that the truth would be far more painful than the pictures could ever show. But I was already on my way. I walked through the neighborhood slowly, my boots crunching on dry leaves scattered across the sidewalk. My mind was spinning in circles. Every step felt heavier than the last. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A message from my sister. I hesitated before looking at it. My fingers shook slightly. "Hey, thanks for the birthday wishes this morning," it read. No explanation. No hint of the party. Just those words. My chest tightened. It was like a punch I didn't see coming. She knew. She knew I had found out. But she wasn't saying anything. The streets were unusually quiet that morning. It felt wrong. Like the world itself was holding its breath, waiting for me to uncover something I wasn't supposed to. I knew I had to go home. I had to confront them. My family's house wasn't far, but each step toward it felt like stepping deeper into a story I wasn't ready to hear. When I arrived, the front door was slightly ajar. My heart thudded in my chest. That was odd. My family was usually careful about locking up. Inside, there was an unusual stillness. No laughter, no music, just the faint smell of coffee and something floral lingering in the air. I called out softly, "Mom? Dad?" My voice sounded smaller than I expected. No answer. I stepped further in, and the air felt heavier, like a room filled with unspoken words. In the living room, my sister's jacket was draped over the couch, but she wasn't there. My parents' voices came faintly from the kitchen, low and hurried, stopping abruptly when they realized I had entered. I felt a sudden pull, the need to know. I stepped closer, just enough to catch fragments of their conversation. The words weren't complete, but I heard enough to shatter any hope that this was just a misunderstanding. My name, the word birthday, and then something about keeping it quiet. My pulse quickened. I leaned in more, my breath shallow. They were talking about me, about something they had decided to hide. A surprise, but not the kind I'd ever imagined. The silence that followed their words was heavier than anything I had felt that morning, scrolling through Facebook. I stepped back slowly, my mind racing. My birthday, the one I thought was mine to celebrate, was gone, replaced with a secret I had no idea how to face. The hurt in my chest grew with every heartbeat. I realized then that this wasn't just about a party. It was about trust, about belonging, about knowing whether I truly mattered to the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. I wanted answers. I needed them. But I also knew the answers could change everything. That's when my phone buzzed again. Another message. My hands felt cold as I opened it. It was from a number I didn't recognize. The message was short. "Meet me. Now. I have something you need to know." A knot formed in my stomach. This wasn't just a birthday anymore. This was turning into something I couldn't ignore. My heart told me to turn away, to walk back out of the house and pretend I hadn't seen anything. But something deeper told me to go, to find out the truth. I grabbed my jacket, slipped my phone into my pocket, and stepped out again. The world outside was still quiet, but now it felt dangerous, and I was about to step right into it. The night air was colder now, sharper, and it wrapped around me like a warning. My boots echoed against the empty pavement as I walked toward the cafe where the mysterious message had said to meet. I didn't know who was texting me or why, but something in me knew this wasn't a prank. This was connected to my family, to the party, to whatever secret they were hiding. When I arrived, the cafe was nearly empty. A single streetlight flickered outside, casting long shadows across the sidewalk. I stepped inside. The smell of coffee was comforting, almost normal, but the quiet hum of chatter felt off, like I had entered someone else's world. At the far corner of the cafe, a figure waved at me. I froze. It was a man I didn't recognize, wearing a dark jacket, a hood over his head. His eyes were sharp, watching me carefully. He gestured for me to sit. My stomach twisted. I hesitated, then slid into the seat across from him. He placed a phone on the table, the screen glowing softly. It showed pictures. Pictures of my family, of my sister's party, but also others I hadn't seen. My parents talking to strangers, hushed conversations in the driveway, invitations sent out quietly, excluding me. My heart pounded harder. "You weren't supposed to find out this way," he said quietly. His voice was calm but carried weight. "They made sure of that." I wanted to speak, but no words came. My throat felt dry. and the coffee cup in front of me suddenly seemed heavy. Who are you? I finally managed to whisper. He looked at me for a long moment. Someone who knows what they're hiding. Alec, this is bigger than a party. This is about who you are to them and why they kept this from you. A shiver ran through me. I wanted answers, but I also wanted to run away. Instead, I asked the only thing I could think of. Why? He leaned closer, lowering his voice. Because it wasn't your birthday they were planning. It was something else. Something they didn't want you to know about until the right moment. My mind went blank. I tried to breathe, but my chest felt tight. What could they possibly be hiding from me? My own family? The thought was unbearable. The man slid an envelope toward me. My fingers trembled as I opened it. Inside were documents, photographs, even a ticket stub. They all pointed to something I couldn't yet understand. But the pattern was clear. My family had deliberately excluded me, and this was no accident. You need to decide what to do, he said softly. You can keep walking away, or you can face them. But if you want the truth, you have to go back. My eyes darted to the door, then back to him. Fear battled curiosity inside me. My whole life had been built on trust in my family. Now that trust was gone. But the truth, whatever it was pulling me in. I took a deep breath. I'll go back. He nodded once. Be careful, Alec. They won't like what you find. As I stepped out of the cafe, the night felt heavier than before. The wind was colder, carrying whispers I couldn't hear. My phone buzzed again. A single message. They know you're looking. Hurry. My pace quickened. I knew there was no turning back now. This wasn't just about a birthday party anymore. This was about uncovering something my family had buried deep. Something that could change everything I thought I knew about them, about myself. And I was walking straight toward it. The walk back to my house felt different now. Every shadow seemed sharper, every step heavier. My mind replayed the man's words over and over. They won't like what you find. That thought clung to me, curling in my chest like smoke. When I reached my street, the houses looked quiet, but I could feel something wrong. My own house seemed darker. As I stepped closer, my heart began to pound in my ears. The front door was closed now, but not locked. That was strange. Inside, silence greeted me again. I called out softly, but no one answered. My feet moved almost on their own toward the living room, where I found my parents sitting together, heads bowed. My sister wasn't there. I stopped. Their silence felt heavier than words. What's going on? I asked, my voice trembling. My father looked up, his face pale. My mother didn't meet my eyes. There was a long pause. Then my father said softly, Alec, we need to talk. They led me to the kitchen. My mother pulled out a chair for me, but her hands were shaking. My father stayed standing, his face tight with something I couldn't read. My chest felt tight. Every instinct told me I was walking into something I wasn't prepared for. They began speaking slowly, carefully. The words felt rehearsed, as though they had been waiting for this moment. My sister's party, the secret Facebook posts. It was all part of something much bigger. A family secret they'd carried for years. Something about my past they had hidden to protect me. But protection didn't feel like what I was hearing. It felt like control. You deserve to know, Alec, my father said finally. But we weren't ready. We didn't want you to find out like this." My head spun. I wanted to shout, to cry, to demand answers, but the weight in their silence pressed against me. I felt betrayed. And worse, I felt like I was standing on the edge of something I couldn't step back from. Then my mother spoke, her voice trembling. "There's more. Something we've kept from you for your whole life. It's about who you are, and why we've been protecting you." I blinked. My stomach twisted. This wasn't about a party. This was about my identity, my family, and something hidden so deep that they had carried it quietly for years. A sudden knock at the door made all of us jump. My father exchanged a quick glance with my mother. My sister's voice came from outside, soft but urgent. "Alec, please, let me in." My heart lurched. I opened the door and she stepped inside. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with something I couldn't name. She didn't speak. She just looked at me. And in that look, I saw fear. Fear I now shared. My sister stepped closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "You weren't supposed to know tonight. Not like this." I swallowed hard. My parents stayed silent, but their eyes said everything. I realized then that my whole life had been leading up to this moment, the night I found out the truth. And now, I was standing in it. I took a deep breath. "Tell me," I said softly. "Tell me everything." The silence stretched, broken only by the ticking of the kitchen clock. My chest tightened. I was terrified, not of what I would hear, but of what it would mean for everything I believed about my family, about myself. The door behind me closed quietly, and in that moment, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. The silence in the kitchen was heavy, like it was holding every secret my family had buried. My sister stayed standing there, her hands curled tightly, her eyes locked on mine. My parents sat, shoulders tense, faces pale. The air felt thicker with each breath I took. Finally, my father spoke, voice low and steady. "Alec, there are things about our family you don't know. Things we protected you from because we thought it was safer for you not to know. But you've already found out, so it's time." My throat tightened. "Then tell me. Now." My mother nodded slowly, looking like she was summoning courage. "It's about your birth, Alec. You were born into a situation that put you in danger from the very start. Your real father, he was someone they feared. Your whole life, it's been hidden because of that. We thought we could keep you safe by keeping it secret." My mind spun. Danger. Secrets. My entire life suddenly felt like a story written for someone else. My heart was pounding, but I forced myself to keep listening. My sister stepped closer. Her voice cracked. "That's why tonight happened the way it did. The party, the hiding. It wasn't about celebration. It was about control. About keeping you in the dark, so no harm could come to you." I felt tears sting my eyes, not just because of the betrayal, but because everything I thought I knew about my family was unraveling. "You didn't trust me enough to tell me," I said softly. "And yet I found out anyway." My father's gaze fell. "We wanted to protect you, but we see now. We were wrong." It hit me then. This wasn't just a family secret. It was an injustice done in the name of protection. They had made a choice for me without asking. They had silenced me. And tonight, I had broken that silence. My sister took my hand gently. Alec, we love you, but we need you to understand why. I looked at them, my family, and felt a mixture of hurt and understanding. The truth had come out, but it had come at a cost. The trust I had in them was fractured. I wasn't sure if it could ever be the same again. As I stepped outside into the night, the cold air hit me. I thought about the man in the cafe, his warning, and my own choice to walk back into this. I realized the truth was never a single moment. It was the journey. Painful, messy, and irreversible. I took out my phone and typed a single message. I know, and I sent it. The silence that followed wasn't emptiness. It was closure, and it was the beginning of something new. Because sometimes, the hardest truth isn't the one you uncover. It's the one you choose to live with. And as I walked away from the house that had kept me in the dark for so long, I asked myself, how many secrets are worth keeping, and who decides what those secrets should be? That night, I realized life isn't about waiting for answers. It's about asking the right question.
And I was done being afraid to ask mine.